Hello mga ka-agri, welcome to AgriStorya. Another exciting episode will be featured today. To all our viewers, students, farmers, youth, professionals, and teachers, and to all who are watching us right now in their respective homes and offices, tara, mag-AgriStorya na ta. AgriStorya is an online talk series initiated by the College of Agriculture and Agri-Industries of the Caraga State University. This month's AgriStorya will focus on career path in agriculture. It is important that we understand each other's specializations, appreciate each other, and use our own uniqueness to grow agriculture in the country in the middle of agriculture's vast diversity. If you missed the episodes of our previous AgriStorya, do not worry. You can watch our past episodes in YouTube. Just search AgriStorya and the topic you want to view, like career path in animal science, career path in agricultural economics, career path in agronomy, and career path in horticulture, and career path in crop protection. All right, for today's AgriStorya resource speaker, he is our very own faculty of the college. He is now live at he is now in Oklahoma, USA. He finished his Bachelor of Science in Agriculture at the Leyte State University, now Visayas State University. He also took his Master of Science in Physical Land Resources at Ghent University in Ghent, Belgium, and graduated with distinction. He is currently now the Assistant Professor for of the College of Agriculture and Agri-Industries. And he is also presently taking his Doctor of Philosophy in Soil Science at Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, USA. Help me welcome our PhD candidate, Sir Glenn Arthur Garcia. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, mga ka-agri, and thank you, Jared, for that wonderful introduction. Let me check. Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll proceed. So to our viewers today, thank you for attending this presentation. I hope I will do a justice in convincing you to take the career path in agriculture, more specifically on majoring in soil science. So as what Sir Jared has mentioned earlier, I'm connected with Caraga State University, but I'm currently on study leave to do my PhD degree at Oklahoma State University. So for my presentation, there are, I think, two objectives that I want to accomplish for this presentation. The first one is I would hope that I could convince, if we have some viewers who are like high school, senior high school students, to take up agriculture as their degree once you get to college. And the second one is to give you insight on what your career path would be if you take up soil science as your major. Okay, so first thing is, let me define what is agriculture. So it emphasizes carrying out the science, art, ethics, management, and entrepreneurial business in the production, processing, and marketing of plants, animals, and other organisms for food, fiber, recreation, biomedicine, industrial, and other purposes, for within the context of integrated sustainable agriculture resource systems. So in agriculture, we are basically producing these different products, be it plants, animals, or whatever that we use for different uses. And most of these, basically the major ones, are for food. So why should we choose agriculture as our career? Well, a good example of which is if you love your Jollibee, if you want Jollibee to still supply their spicy chicken joy, which I also miss, and whatever menus that they have, we should support agriculture and be an agriculturist in the future so that you can help us sustain the industry of Jollibee. Or say if you want Mang Inasal to still continue to supply or give their unlimited rice offer as well as their Mang Inasal chicken. So this is also in the realm of agriculture. So without the supply of the raw materials of food from agriculture, these different industries that we truly enjoy would not flourish or would not be there still if we don't supply their needed raw materials. So if we talk about agriculture, most of the contentions would be is that agriculture is basically for food security or the production of food. But is it really just for food? Okay, for me, it's not just for food. It's basically just to sustain the human life. And if I say sustain the human life, we agriculture basically also gives the what not only the needs of the human as well as what we also want. I'm saying this because take for example in this picture here, uh, agriculture can go beyond just supplying the food that we need, but as well as producing or even cultivating the different plants that we can use maybe in the future to supply the medicine or the cure for whatever diseases that will come out. It's very important, particularly at these times where we have pandemic. Maybe in the future there'll be a lot of different diseases that can be cured by certain type of plants or species of plants. Then we can just grow them. Agriculture will be responsible to mass produce them so that we can have the raw material needed for the production of the medicine. In this image here, this is marijuana. This is illegal in our country, but here in the developed countries, they produce marijuana for medicine. Okay, I think you have already known the different major fields of agriculture based from the previous AgriStorya talks made by other resources, which was presented to you earlier. So these are the traditional major fields of agriculture that you know of. So you have agronomy, animal science, horticulture, plant breeding, plant protection, agricultural economics. And what I'm going to talk on in my succeeding slides will focus more on the field of soil science. First question would be, why should I major in soil science if I take up, say, a bachelor's degree in agriculture? Well, soil science is not just about digging holes in the soil and try to look into their characteristics. It's not only just to support the food production. And in fact, here, so you could see in the other picture, we even go beyond studying different ecosystems. In this case, we have a forest ecosystem wherein I think what they are installing are tensiometers, which tries to characterize the moisture of the soil in the forest area. So what is soil science? So the soil science is a science that deals with soils as a natural resource on the surface of the earth, including soil formation, classification, and mapping. So you try to look where these soils are, what are the different types of soils in an area, and you try to map it out so that you can use this map for whatever purpose. And by looking at where these soils are, we also try to look into their characteristics in terms of, say, physical, chemical, biological properties. And these fertility properties of the soil, very important with respect to application in agriculture. And these properties also will be used later on as basis on how we are going to use the land. And also, is there any certain management system that we can employ in such different types of soil? That way we can use it even if it's not suitable for that a particular purpose. Hey, if you take up soil science, there are different fields of specialization. We have soil pedology, fertility, soil chemistry, soil physics, soil biology, and we have a growing field of specialization also, I would say, which is what we call a soil health. So as you could see, as diverse as our soils are in different landscape, in our different environment and ecosystems, we have also different uh, field of specialization that you can go into. Uh, if you're very much uh, interested in going into, say, for example, you're good at chemicals, maybe you will go for studies on the soil chemistry aspect. Or, for example, you want to look for different animals or microbes in the soil that would help in your crops or whatever, you can probably go to soil biology. So soil science is not just when you look at soil science as everything you're going to study about physics or biology or chemistry. It's not like that. So there are different fields that you can go into if you just want to pick up a certain specialization that you want to study in. Even now, I've seen some studies about forensic soil science. So this application of soils study, but more on helping solving crimes. And in fact, as you could see, this is a professor. He's a professor from Texas A&M. She is a professor from Texas A&M, and she's an agriculture professor. But they tap her expertise in doing forensic examination of crime scenes. Like here, in this case, they would take up soil samples from certain samples and they would examine if this is coming from a certain location. So that's how soil science can also be applied not only for agriculture, but in this case, you have here for crime solving. In NASA, they even have some studies now wherein they try to develop or try to replicate the soil in Mars so that they could probably grow some uh, plants in there. So in this case, they have already tried growing vegetables, and they even have this prototype, I would say, pod that could grow vegetables, hopefully in the future in Mars. This one is the movie from The Martian, which was shown, I think, a few years ago, wherein you see that there was a astronaut who got left in Mars, and he was trying to survive and grow some food of his own using the poop that was collected in their stations there. So you see the study of soils go beyond even our Earth. Because of the importance of soils in our environment and also in agriculture, the Philippine government has even established an office or organization that looks into this um studying of soils. And in this case, we have the Bureau of Soils and Water Management located in Quezon City, in Manila, and they service the different farmers by analyzing soil samples from different locations. So farmers can just send their samples to the different laboratories that they have that is situated in different regions, and you can even ask for recommendations for whatever crop you're going to grow. In the Philippines, there are only few higher education institution or SUCs that offers soil science as a major. So you are very fortunate enough that Caraga State University has started to offer the major in soil science. So you don't have to look far or go far so that you can take up the major in soil science or the study in soil science. So right in your backyard at Caraga State University, you can already earn a degree in soil science or bachelor's in soil science in agriculture, major in soil science. In terms of professional scientific community, we have this national scientific community called the Philippine Society of Soil Science and Technology Incorporated, which is actually managed majority by the Bureau of Soils and Soil and Water Management. And in every annual meetings that this society is conducting, we even we could even send our students there to do some presentation like paper presentation or poster presentation, and you could also win some prizes with it. So in a way, while studying, it's also like a training ground on becoming a professional in the soils or in the science of soils. So in this case, there are different categories. The earlier slide was uh, for the junior category. In this case, this is the senior category. So they have different categories wherein you could participate. Knowing that there's a declining enrollees of soil science in the Philippines, the organization or the PSSST to promote the science of soil has offered, in fact, awards or grants for thesis. So during the 2016-2017 annual meeting, they have awarded or given the first grant for thesis. So in case you're going to do major in soils, then you could submit proposals to the PSSST, and if under evaluation, they could give you funding for that one. So this is a competitive grant, so you have to apply for this one. In the international community, we have also different organizations, such as the International Union of Soil Sciences. So there are different areas or fields that they also try to promote for the study of soils. So in this organization, they have 4 divisions, and under each divisions, there are different commissions. So as you could see, there are different specific or more detailed studies that you could go into different divisions. So if you want to participate only, for example, in soil and water conservation, so you will come and join the different soil scientists across the world to present or work on different research or findings about soil and water conservation. In America, they have this also, what they named the organization as Soil Science Society of America. And I was very fortunate enough during my second year of study here as PhD to present my preliminary results for one of my research dissertation. So this was held in somewhere in Texas. And in this society, there are also 4 divisions or groups that you could go into and try to exchange research knowledge or findings. And in here, you have agriculture, soils, food system, soil ecosystem processes. We have here the agricultural, sorry, I forgot the other one. This should be a different group. Education and practicing professionals. So even if you're not doing some, say, research in the field, like doing examination of soil itself, you're only like doing teaching soils, you could do some research about that one. Then you can do some publication and present it in this society. Okay, so now the question is, there's a decreasing number of soil science students or students who venture into majoring in soils. And where are they now? Okay, so where have all the soil students gone? So here's a table in one of the paper published by Collins. I forgot the year. I think it's 2008. It's here. And looking into the different university and where these soil science programs are offered. And as you could see, in fact, if you try to scroll, there's only one university that really offers the program or has a really a distinct department for soil science, and they also give a major in soil science. The rest are different allied, I would say, allied science to soil, and they are not so focused on soil, but in a broad aspect when they try to study soils. In fact, if you could see here, this table in the University of Florida, the data shows that the number of students that enrolled in soil science is only 10. That accounts only about 0.3% of the total population that is enrolled in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. So in this case, you will see that soil science is not really that famous, I would say, for most of the students. Okay, here's another study which was published last year. And this is a location where the different schools are located that offers soil science programs. And it is divided into land grants, soil science programs, and the non-land grant science programs. So as you can see, most of the universities that offer soil science programs is on the east side of the continent. And majority of those programs that study or that study about soil is the environmental science, followed by the agricultural science. Okay, so the undergraduate degrees that train students for soil science careers in U.S. Universities are mostly those that offers agriculture program, environmental science program, and we have soil and water science. And as you could see, when they try to do a survey with respect to how employers wants the graduates of soil science in terms of their skill set, they surveyed that there is a need for students who graduate in soil science to enhance their skill or do skills in soil classification. Some of them here, you could see there are new set of skills that needs to be also taken into consideration for training our undergrad students, like remote sensing. So as you could see, the application of soil science here goes beyond just even soil classification or the usual traditional specialization in soil science. You see the different application from wetlands or other turf grass landscape. This is more of the maintenance of grass for golf course or landscaping. Here's another published study that looks into what happens with the population of soil science students or students that enrolls for master's and PhD degree. And as you could see, majority of the students that go into soil science major are male students, but from 1992 to 2004, there's a decrease in the number of students for the male that goes into soil science. So there's an increasing number of students that female students that goes for master's and PhD degree. And most of these are actually local students. If I say local, for example, in the US, students who are coming from the US are taking up master's and PhD degree. So there's a decrease in number of foreign students that goes into US to study the field of soil science. Here is data from 1980 to 2005. There's a slow decrease in students that goes for master's degree, foreign students in Wageningen. This is in somewhere in Europe. And if we base it by comparing for male versus female, you could see that the number of males that take up soil science is decreasing, while for the female, it has increased. Same thing here in this data. This is for foreign soil science. So the earlier students or students from Wageningen. So in this one are international students that goes for master's degree in soil science at Wageningen. So you have male decreasing still, and also female, which is increasing. So as you could see here in the next graph, the number of foreign students that go for master's in soil science in Wageningen has really decreased tremendously from 1980 to 2005. Whereas for nationals or the local students, they have increased their number. This holds true also in Australia. So this is in University of Sydney. As you could see, in the bachelor's degree, there were a lot of students who take up soil science course in Sydney. But those who pursue for grad studies in terms of, say, PhD and master's degree, they have decreased a lot. Okay, and same thing here in University of Waikato, New Zealand. So there is a decrease here. Okay, in terms of the number of members by age distribution here in the Soil Science Society of America, you could see that the number of males has decreased a lot with time. So in this case, this is the age, based on age. So the number of males, say the young males that would follow the science of soil or study of soil has decreased. So there would come a time, maybe after a few years, that the number of male students will further decrease in terms of those who wants to study soil. Whereas females, you see here, there's an increasing trend based on the young age here. Same thing with this graph in here. Okay, so where are these, what are the future jobs that are available for soil science graduates? And as you can see here in the graph, majority of the opportunities are in the environmental science side. So you can take up Bachelor's of Science in Agriculture, but when you go for a graduate degree program, you can go to master's degree in environmental science, which focus on the study of soil. So here are other fields that soil science majors can also go into after graduating their bachelor's degree. Here are the list of the opportunities of work that BSA in soil science major could go into. The first one, of course, in academe. So you can become a professor in universities. So that is one of the option. You can become a soil scientist or a researcher. Soil analyst is basically you're just in the lab doing some analysis of soil samples. You can become a plant scientist. So this is in the field, probably in agronomy or even in horticulture. So it's a collaborative effort or a partnership between different fields of agriculture to work on. So soil science is one the specialists that could work into this area. Environmental scientist, research assistant. In fact, my first job after graduating my bachelor's degree was I had an experience working as a research assistant for almost 3 years. Supervisor, consultant or technician, so mostly in the fertilizer industry. So if there are new fertilizers that is developed in the market, or organic fertilizers, or there are some organic liquid fertilizers that is common also in our country. If you want to be a technician to sell those products, you can do that one. You can also become manager or even a police force or an entrepreneur. For the police force, I will explain that later in the succeeding slides. And both these or some of these opportunities can either come from government organizations or non-government organizations and private institutions and international organizations. So if I say international organizations, there are some organizations like, for example, in the Philippines, like IRI, they study about rice research, but they are basically an international organization that is based only in the country of Philippines. So in this case, these are very competitive opportunities that soil science graduates can venture into. Okay, here are some of the soil scientists and what they are working on right now. So here, somebody is working, a soil scientist is working in as a researcher in the USDA ARS. Here's one of the professors we have here, a very uh, bright or famous scientist here, professor, Dr. Tyson Ochsner. Uh, you can become a consultant, you can see here. So he's studying about permafrost. So if you would love to go in cold climates, you want to do research there, you can do that one. Consulting scientists. So in most cases, there are some companies here which is created wherein it would be like a team of specialists from agronomy to soil scientists, and they would create a company that would do consultancy for big time farmers. So instead, the farmers will do the research themselves in trying to say test their soil and trying to see what would be the best management in there. They could tap in the expertise of these different consultants, the company of the consultants, and they'll be responsible for giving you the recommendations. So all the farmers can just do is just pay these consultants, and they will give you the recommendations that they have based on their evaluation. You can go also into environmental studies here. You have here the molecular environmental soil scientist. This one is my fellow PhD graduate here. She already graduated last semester and was hired immediately in Texas A&M as one of their soil physics professor. In terms of scholarship and assistantship, if you want to pursue grad studies, there are different research programs created here in, say, America or even in Europe. And sometimes they would look for different graduate students who will work into some of their research. So in this case, you can be hired as a research assistant. Here is just in Kansas, but imagine there are different state universities in the US wherein will have their own respective research. So in the number of opportunities that you could apply in this case. So here in this case, you have an assistant for soil fertility. The other ones was about soil health. I just got this one from ResearchGate, and in Norway, you can see here, they are hiring some researchers who would look into environmental effect of agriculture systems. So you could see the field of specialization that they would require is on soils. Here's another opportunity from Germany as a researcher. If you're fond with computer, so there is this widely growing science on remote sensing. So by using, say, drones or satellites or whatever equipment that you could just use to remotely collect data, in this case is soil moisture, then you could do some programming to, say, predict what's the current moisture without doing some physical measurements of the soil. Here's a research scientist or postdoctoral in Finland. So this one is also looking into studying forest soils. Here's a position in a university, assistant professor on soil remote sensing. So it's related to the earlier slides being presented. In this case, it's a laboratory technician, so it's more of an analyst. So you will be in the lab doing some analysis of soil samples that is submitted. In local or in our country, in the Philippines, there's this company called Sumifru. It's based in Davao. Here's a posted hiring last July, soil and plant nutrition research assistant. So if you're a graduate major in soil science, you could really fit into this job description. Under different municipalities also or provincial governments, they would also post some jobs or hiring jobs. In this case, it's a senior agriculturist, but in this case, this would not limit to soil science. But if you're a graduate in agriculture, and if you're a licensed agriculture, then you can apply for this one. So same thing with here in municipal government in Camarines Sur. So some of the opportunities would not just be limited in your locality. So you really have to go beyond maybe Caraga region to look for jobs that you could apply for. And you could see here, even here the monthly salary that they would get. It's a large amount. Here in Cabadbaran, it's just posted also last July, a senior agriculturist. So very near our location, you can apply. Okay, so with that, at Caraga State University, for those high school students, if you would go or enroll in the Caraga State University, and especially if you go for agriculture degree program, we develop you to become knowledgeable and technically competent and independent as independent agriculturists. But moreover, we also want you to become self-employed or even possibly employment generators rather than just a job seeker. So gone are the days that we are just like trying to look for a job. If there's a possibility that you could create a job yourself and you can just hire somebody to work for you, that would be better than just you yourself will be looking for a job, because you'll be competing for other graduates or students in agriculture. Here's two of my examples of my life philosophy that I always remember. First is don't settle for anything less than the best, and do not fear failure, but rather fear not trying. So I always have this in mind, so that whenever there's a thing that is difficult to achieve in my mind, I would just always go into this one and try to challenge myself to just don't get afraid. Just do your best, and just try it. There's nothing wrong if you fail. You just have to try and try. So I had my own share also of failures. I did apply for a lot of scholarship before. I have tried Japan, some of the scholarship there, but I haven't succeeded in getting those. But later on, after some time, I applied for another scholarship, and I was fortunate enough to be granted the scholarship, and that's started my journey for pursuing my graduate studies during my master's. Here's my journey as a soil scientist. So I was a very thin soil scientist. I always grab the opportunity, whatever it is, to really learn soils. So in this case, I was still a third-year student at that time, and there was a fourth-year soil science student who is doing a thesis more on the soil classification study for her thesis. So we went there and tried to help them, and it's only in this experience that you could really learn some things, because at that time, while we do some collecting samples, our professor will also discuss us about these techniques and how to do sampling and how to describe soil. And by that, it's safe. I mean, we don't really have to spend our own money in this case, because since we helped one of the students, our friend shouldered all the expenses when we went to her field to do the sampling. So we learned something while helping. So it's a good thing. So I would also encourage our majors, whatever major you're taking in, even if, say, for example, you're a soil science major, if there's a chance that you could help somebody from the agronomy majors or horticulture majors doing or setting up their experiment, that will be a good opportunity for you to do or practice, because you will learn something out of it. So after my first job as research assistant, I was fortunate enough to work in a private company based in Davao, and I worked my way from research assistant to supervisor. So here are some of my uh, help or my fellow co-workers in the soil science. So what we do is we do research about soils. So we're responsible for doing some fertilizer recommendation for all the plantation that is in this company. So in this case, we're more focused on the plantation of Cavendish banana. So I have here soil science from Central Mindanao University. I think this guy is from USEP, and I have a guy from UP. And these are my co-majors during when I took up my bachelor's degree in VSU. So there's actually only 3 of us when we took up the major in soil science. And during my master's degree, so after my 3-year stint in the private company, I went for my master's degree in Belgium, and I was fortunate enough to make friends with some international students, and even until now, I have still contact with them. So it's really nice. And another perks is also you could go to different places. In this case, I was able to go to Germany. And with that, right now, I'm doing my PhD and continue to make lots of friends from different parts of the world. And even I was fortunate enough to bring my family here. So these are my 2 kids, Judelia and Noni. And my wife is also doing her PhD degree here. And she's also working on soil science research, even if her PhD is on environmental science. So with that, I would like to thank everyone who are here today for listening.
What a wonderful reminder it is. Don't settle for anything less than the best. Thank you so much, Sir Glenn, for your wonderful presentation about soil science as a specialization. I think our students are now considering soil science as their major. So mga ka-agree, type in your questions in the live chat. Our viewers are now ready for their questions to our speaker.
Okay. Oh, before I'll answer the questions, I forgot to mention that in most of my slides, I presented that there's a decreasing number of students who take up major in soil science. And you will be wondering, sir, you're trying to say convince us to take up soil science, but in your presentation, you were presenting that there are few soil science students. I would take it as an opportunity, because if there's like less people who is going into that area, when you look for a job or, for example, scholarship, there'll be more opportunities for you to get accepted. And if you could see, in fact, most of the students who got a master's degree in looking into soil science are in fact not soil science degree holder. They are from environmental science or other related sciences who go into soil science as their graduate study. So I would take it as an opportunity for students, since there are only few people who goes into that one. So imagine it's like in the market, like if you're like in a barangay and all of you are establishing your own store, then who would buy your products, since all of you are, doing into business of stores? Okay, so that's one way of looking into that data. Okay.
Yes, that is true, Sir Glenn. So joining with the discussion is another faculty of soil science in the College of Agriculture and Agri-Industries, our brilliant faculty, Sir Leo Jude Villasica. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, mga ka-agri. Sir, good morning, sir. Good morning, Ja.
Good morning, Jude.
So, while we're waiting for questions, so let me first ask a questions now to our speaker, Sir Glenn.
Okay.
So, sir, is uh, is soil science your first choice when you choose your major in agriculture?
Okay. Actually, soil science was not my first choice, to be honest. My first choice was I was so interested with studying about volcanoes because there was this one time when my father went to Manila for a travel, and when he came back, he brought this brochure about uh, with a picture of volcano, and this was a brochure from I think UP Diliman, and it was for geology, BS in geology degree
Mm.
program. So I was kind of interested into that, but since there's like I think at that time were six siblings, and I was the eldest of the kids, and my father could not afford if I go for that program. So the very closest thing that would at least study about that aspect would be to go into soil science. So that's why I was fixated on going into the program even when I was still in the under I mean in my first year as an undergrad.
So, just a follow up, sir. What make you stick to the program? Like, why did you stick to being a soil science student thereafter?
Oh, yeah. When I was in my second year, and at that time, Dr. Vic Asho, who is also my mentor, he came back from his PhD and was handling the basic soil science course.
Mm.
And he showed a lot of very nice information about soils and the study of soils, which really, you know, got me going into really pursuing the degree in, major in soil science at that time. So uh, one of my influencer would be Dr. Asho from BSU.
Mm. Okay, sir. So we now have one question from our viewers. So I will post it here in the main stage. Siya. Sir Glenn, looking back, what do you think is the most challenging subject or lesson you have to learn to endure during college days? So maybe pertaining to being a major already.
In the major subject, what's the most challenging? I think I'm more challenged on the we have some courses on the engineering, the engineering
Mm.
in our program. That's the one
Mm.
that because I'm not so good with math, honestly. That's why when I did my major and I did my thesis, I was working on the soil survey and classification because that with that it's much easier because I don't need to grow crops. I just have to go to the field and try to look for interesting sites to collect samples and analyze it myself. So, with respect to the major subject, uh, I think the faculty that teaches the different major course at that time was really good in relaying the information to us that it makes us it makes studying the majors easier.
Okay. So I hope that answers no the question. So another question from uh, Ms. Dabirao. Good morning, Sir Glenn. Can you share an example when you provided information or recommendations to farmer regarding ways in which they can best use their lands and promote land growth? So it's a very technical question, no? But sir, that's the question.
Uh, First, I would say, I mean, even if there are some lands that are not suitable, there's like a management that you can say employ so that you the area where you want to grow crops can still be productive. But the question uh, is that venture, for example, is that when you grow crops, is there like a benefit for in terms of income that you can get? Everything boils down to like if you get income out from the agricultural activity that you're going to do there. But if, for example, you're growing like high value crops and you can be sure that you get a good market out of it, if the best way you could do is first you need to evaluate the capacity of your soil, like evaluating the fertility and looking into the limitations, because by then you could strategize your say management system that you try to employ there, but you manage it in such a way that it will not be so expensive enough that you will spend more than what you get, like in return.
Mm. Okay. So we have another question, sir, from Judith Gildo. Hello po. What is the essence of studying soil science? Okay. So very so
Very bro.
ano sa'yo answer
If
na,
I
sir?
say essence, for me, actually, since I mean, you could do a lot of when you try to study soils, depending on how you're going to use the soil, like when you apply it. For example, for agriculture, of course, you want to study soil to look into their capability, right? So, for example, what's the say? For example, that's why we have those suitability maps that we to look into or develop, so that we will be guided on what is best for that area in terms of growing. So that would be for the agricultural aspect. So in other aspect, it depends on, I mean, what you're going to use it for.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I agree, sir. Another just would like to add note on this particular question. So maybe if you want to solve global problems, be a soil scientist, no? Ano lang siguro. Because we are actually doing things that for a global perspective, no? So that's how soil science is. So while waiting, sir, for some other questions, so any message, sir, for the second year students? Because at the moment, for the fourth year student, this is kanang venue naman ginot to kanang say it, no?
Yeah.
We only have four major in soil science, and that of us is saying kay kuan daw ko no, lisod daw ko no, yan na. So
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
what is your message na to the second year student? Because based on our very recent survey, I think that there's only one who said that he want to be a soil scientist in the future. But anyways, so what's your message, sir, for the second year student before we proceed to
Okay.
the next questions?
Based on my slides that I presented, as I've said, there's a few numbers of students who wants to go majoring in soil science. And imagine again, if you graduate and you're going to apply for a job, the fewer people who are specializing in that field, there's going to be like fewer people you're going to compete with in terms of opportunities, be it in work or scholarship abroad, you know, or even jobs abroad. So imagine, don't limit yourself only within the region in terms of opportunities. You have to go beyond that one. If I say
Yeah, yeah.
beyond that one, maybe national or even international. Imagine if, for example, you are a say master's graduate or PhD graduate in soil science. You could even apply jobs even in US or in Europe, because in those countries there's a lot of, say for example, people or business or say institution that looks for specialists in soil science. In fact, there was a study about the different faculties uh, that is teaching soil science in the US and trying to look what are their backgrounds in terms of their bachelor's degree. Most of them are from environmental science. And it's only during their master's or even in their PhD degree that they went into specializing into soil. So even those who were not used to be soils has seen the importance of going into majoring in soils because they see an opportunity in terms of their profession. So how much
Mm,
more for us? So do not limit yourself since you're bachelor's in science in agriculture that you can just focus in agriculture related opportunities or work. You can, as I have said in my presentation, you can go beyond that one. You can even go into majoring in environmental science. There's a lot of opportunities or jobs that is looking into the environmental aspect of application of soils.
mm.
So also,
Okay.
my story also like during my undergrad, actually I encountered the same problem because during my second year, after the midterm, you will know your preliminary status
Yeah, yeah.
in all your subject, right? Then
Mm,
you are allowed to like enroll ahead for the succeeding semester, and that would be in the say first semester of your second year. I mean third year, and at that time I was the only one who enrolled for major in soil science. Most of my classmates in my second year they went for horticulture or agronomy and economics, and I was trying to convince you should go for major in soil science. But later on, after when the semester starts, uh, I was able to convince two of my friends to go into soil science, and until now, one of my friends still working on agriculture related job. Even she has job from one job to another without any problem because there's really a demand. He's based in Davao, and he was
mm.
able to look for job pretty easy. One of my friend also he did not pursue anymore for social science, but he went for police.
Okay. So, uh, mga ka-agree, I hope that you will be one of us, join us in this career. So, now, we have a lot of questions na, no? So, nanonood ng mga questions.
Yeah, that's
Let's
nice.
uh, try to answer it one by one, sir, no? So, here's the first question, sir. Is there enough job opportunities in agriculture major in soil science in the Philippines? And what is its edge towards other soil-related careers? So, that's from Magical Correbel.
Okay.
So, what's...
Most of the industries, agricultural industries, is located in Mindanao, so we're very fortunate now. Specifically in Bukidnon, there's in Cotabato and Davao. You have Del Monte, Dole, Sumifru, and even there are some small growers. These are private individuals who partnered with these big companies to produce
Yeah.
their products. So the big
Mm.
companies would just buy their products. So some of these small private owners or growers would even also hire some of the soil science graduates or agriculture graduates. Yeah.
Then the other question is, what is the edge towards other soil-related careers, such as, I think, uh, is
Soil
pertaining
science
to
example
other...
in terms of horticulture because soil science a horticulturist, for example, if you grow crops, horticultural crops, you also need the expertise of the soil science or soil scientists to help you look into the best recommendation to grow your crops. Agronomy, uh, same thing. You also need to hire soil scientists to look into that one.
Mm-mm.
Animal science, maybe for animal science, maybe for forage cultivation. So this would be in partnership with agronomists. So you produce the different raw materials that you use for feeds. Even here, it's not so common in our country, grazing. So we have here in America, they have this graceland uh, management. So they try to look into how they're going to grow their grasses much better if they try to, just do grazing for their
Mm,
animals. So I think that's one of the edge you could, I would say,
okay.
for soil science major.
Okay, so another question from Volikrazek, no? One more question, Sir Glenn. It, is it expensive to pursue the major in soil science, and what advice can you give to be wise in spending for this major? Okay, so
Okay, uh, depends.
mm-mm,
Soil science, for example, for undergrads, it depends on what you're going to do for your research. Everything you need to invest actually. So as long as you can use it maybe later on. Like for me, when I did my master's, um, I did spend some money uh, just to get to go abroad to study. But in the end, since you'll be receiving some stipend, you will get more than what you spend.
mm-mm. So,
So even if borrow money later on, once you receive your stipend, you can just pay it back.
mm-mm, yeah.
It's a good
So,
investment anyway.
yeah, yeah. And also, I would just like to add, for our soil science major today, they are actually spending very less amount because they are incorporated in our projects. We have a lot of projects in soil science. So,
Yeah,
kung mag-major mo, almost libre inyo ang research. Ana lang. No?
yeah.
Just one way to encourage also
Yeah,
some of our,
that's one of
yeah.
here, even in my PhD program. My research is being funded by one of the already like existing research of my advisor.
Mm-mm.
Uh, they would not care about spending a lot of money as long as you get the output to
Yeah, yeah.
report and it
As long
helps
as you have the output.
the knowledge. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Okay, so another question from, we have here, I'm still filtering the questions now. How can, okay. Okay, this one. Another from Magical Forever. How can taking this course contributory to the ongoing and incoming global crisis?
Taking this course.
So
Uh,
being a soil scientist.
soil scientists, since some of the soil science specialists, they would venture now into environmental science aspects. So imagine uh, the pressure that human activities would, you know, influence our environment, especially our soil. Let's just go, for example, in agriculture. We know that the population in the world would continuously increase, and we have very limited area to be used for the production of our food. So we will be developing or maybe uh, using our soil resources so much that it can cause degradation to our
Yeah,
soil. So that would be a global crisis. In fact, if you, I don't know if you have heard about the Dust Bowl. It happened here in Oklahoma, wherein
yeah,
since they have these dryland areas here in Oklahoma, during sometime in after the World War II, some of the lands here in the dryland areas were being opened up for cultivation of agriculture. And as a result, during the summer, when there's no or less moisture that's gonna, there's less rain in that area, then at that time, since this area is also prone to tor- uh, tornadoes, so very strong winds, it causes some erosion problem in those areas. So it's also happening even in Africa. They have this problem on desertification. That's a global issue nowadays. With climate change, we would expect some of the areas also to become drier than they used to be, or even areas which used to be wet, maybe there's a, in the future, who knows, it
Yeah.
can get also drier,
Mm.
then that will be an issue on our environment.
Okay, so that's another stint now of why of on the reasons why if you really want to be a soil scientist, so you need to be prepared to solve global problems, no? Global problems. Another question no, from Nick Oswald Borenes. Good morning, Sir Glenn. What
Ooh,
are the current trends of
Bernick.
soil what are the current trends of soil science research? What are the future prospects?
Okay, here in America, there's a growing research on soil health. So I was so
Mm.
happy that the
Yeah, yeah.
Department of Agriculture has launched one of these program, the soil
Yeah,
health
soil health.
program,
Mm-mm.
because there's really a growing concern on that one. So this is with respect also to what I have mentioned earlier on the increasing pressure on our soils as the number of population increases. So there is an expected, degradation that will be happening in our soils. So we want to make sure that the system that we're going to use would be sustainable enough to maintain the quality of our soils for our future. That way we can
Yes.
still continuously produce the required food that our population is
Mm-mm.
going into. Another
Yeah.
aspect in soil science research, there's a growing research on remote sensing
Mm-mm.
uh, using drones. I was fortunate enough to enroll also in one of the courses here. It was so nice. I mean, very nice. I mean, you could predict or measure some of the properties of the soil very fast by just, taking images using drones or sites.
Mm-mm. Okay, so that was a nice question we have there. Then another we have, good morning, sir. What are some pros and cons of being a soil scientist?
I
Okay.
think it's related to the previous question. Uh,
Mm.
so soil scientists, again, you can work as in the agriculture industry in support to your agronomists or horticulturists or animal scientists, or you could go for environmental studies.
Mm.
So forestry,
Yeah.
pollution research. I would expect that there'll be more research about pollution,
Yeah, yeah.
how to manage pollution. Because imagine if you have soils that is continuously polluted and you're going to use that one for, say, growing crops, that would be a problem.
Mm. Okay, so another this one is particularly focused on the board exam, but I will still throw it here just for ano. Yun siya. Good morning, sir. I want to ask if what kind of topics mostly appear on the board exam. Although, ikaw, sir, kay papamangin, just,
Sorry,
so,
I cannot answer that one because
yeah, yeah,
I wasn't able to take actually the board
yeah.
exam yet.
But, so, pwede rin siya ako mo kuha na sir, ni sir, no,
Yeah,
kay,
yeah.
para po
So June.
matigaan po siya justice. So, for the soil science po yung aspect, some of the questions are actually are focused on fertility and soil chemistry and particularly on soil survey. So, if you are now uh, reviewing, so that particular parts are really important. And also the basics one, yung mga basic gid kayo. So, just lang. Okay, then another na patay. Here's one question. Maybe it's really ko ano. Again, good morning, sir. I have a plan to take horticulture as my specialization. How can you convince me to take soil science instead of this? It's very controversial, but okay, sir, can you answer that?
Uh, I think I presented the data again. First is there's a decrease in number of students who take up soil science. So when you take up soil science, your opportunity for job later on would be, I would say, much higher because you have less competition. There are few graduates of soil scientists, or I would say expert in soil science. And again, you can work in agriculture related job, or you can pursue for environmental science aspect job.
Mm, yeah.
So
So
majority of the data, I mean the information I got from published literature are some most of the soil science graduates, they would go for studies on environmental science.
okay, but we need more from the agriculture sector because of
Yeah,
the decreasing. Actually, just a statistics in the Philippines, our a global, 75% of the land is actually degraded already. So we need more soil scientists to solve this particular problem, or maybe do some research to mitigate or alleviate these certain problems, no? So, soils na mo. Another one we have here. This is from a previous student, no, Insha. Good morning, sir. Since I'm your student before 2015, I think you know this one, sir. Granyo Alberto. My question
Birunya.
is, what is the biggest challenge of soil scientists today?
Soil scientist.
So, sa kuno yung pinaka biggest challenge nato, sir, for today karon nga mga panahon.
I would say if you're practicing actually based on my experience in a private company, uh, how to make recommendations for your crop in most economical way, uh, because if you're working for a company, you want to make sure that you will benefit what you input. So if you recommend something that is very, I mean, expensive, that what you earn is much lesser than if you go to a farmer, they would not believe you, no?
Yeah.
So it's one of the challenge, convincing farmers to follow your recommendation.
Okay, so I think we don't have any more new questions. Maybe if you have some other questions, no, for Sir Glenn. And also we have reached our time, around 1.5 hours na to, no? Anyways, ako sa episode na to ang MC for the
Uh, Another kwan lang Jude.
yes, yes, sir.
I would say ang most challenging, I would not kwan lang sa soil science, no, is really to how we can help our farmers
Yeah, yeah.
na
Very true.
agriculture aspect, how to, I mean, ang ilang venture sa agriculture would be profitable,
Yeah.
because that's really a challenge for our farmers there sa Philippines. Unlike here sa advanced countries, they have areas, and it would also compensate their losses since dako ilang kuan area.
Mm. So atong problem karon is how to intensify, which is also safe in nature, and also dili na to ma-damage ang soil itself.
So yeah, maintaining quality sa soil.
Maintaining the quality of the soil, so something like that. So for for our future soil scientists there sa atong mga audience, that those are the things that we need to consider, no? So anyway, I will give the floor back again to our MC for some of the outros.
Thank you, Sir Jude. To all our viewers, mga ka-agri, did you enjoy the discussion? Indeed, that was a very productive discussion we have today. Thank you to our resource speaker, PhD candidate in soil science, Sir Glenn Arthur Garcia. He will also be your instructor or professor in the future, because he will be coming home in our college. Thank you as well to Sir Leo Jude Villasica, our faculty in soil science in the college as well. So don't forget, to all our viewers, don't forget to evaluate the evaluation form posted in the live chat, and that is to get your certificate of participation. And now, let us award the certificate of appreciation to our resource speaker. Let me read the citation first. Okay, AgriStorya Certificate of Appreciation is given to Glenn Arthur Garcia for imparting his knowledge and expertise as a resource speaker in AgriStorya Career Path in Soil Science, given this 21st day of July 2021 at the College of Agriculture and Agri-Industries, Caraga State University, Main Campus, Ampayong, Butuan City, Agusan del Norte. Signed, Dr. Elizabeth P. Parak, the College Dean of the College of Agriculture and Agri-Industries. Thank you so much, Sir Glenn, again, for your valuable time and for sharing your interesting experience in soil science as a specialization. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jared, and thank you also to our viewers. And also, I forgot to thank our very own Dean, Dr. Elizabeth Parak, for organizing this AgriStorya talk. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So again, if you missed our past episodes on the career paths and the different specialization, you can still watch them at YouTube. Just search AgriStorya and the career path that you want to watch. And for tomorrow, we will be featuring the career path in agricultural technology. So many of our students are asking about agricultural technology. And tomorrow, career path in agricultural technology will be featured. To gain other insights on this program and follow us on Facebook, College of Agriculture and Agri-Industries, Caraga State University, and register on our upcoming AgriStorya web talk series. So for tomorrow, that would be for the career path in agriculture, that would be our featured career path, agricultural technology for tomorrow with our very exciting resource speaker, Miss Tihani Oxtero of DA Caraga. And I think that would be all for today. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. See you next time and have a great day. God bless everyone.